Until now, we have spoken about how land, labor, licenses and permits, environment clearances are a major challenge for an entrepreneur to set up business. In this session, we'll be looking at how taxation and finance cause barrier in doing business. Before we kick off with the panel discussion, I will give a brief overview on the topic being discussed based on CPPR's research and interaction with the stakeholders. So moving ahead quickly, all of us know that Indian taxation system, Indian tax regime is multi-layered and cumbersome. There are a number of taxes an entrepreneur pays at different points to different authorities. One of the studies which was done in Croatia showed a direct relationship between the knowledge a taxpayer has to the degree of compliance with taxation rules. The taxpayer in the country should also be capable of filing taxes independently and effectively. Tax literacy continues to be an important topic for an entrepreneur to be discussed as a part of ease of doing business. Unless entrepreneur knows what are the taxes he's paying, when are they supposed to be paid, who is he paying these taxes to, unless he's clear about these, there's always an air of ambiguity in business climate and a widening gap between the government and the taxpayer. According to the World Bank, an entrepreneur in India pays 16 indirect taxes during operation of business. For that matter, when we were interviewing entrepreneurs across different sectors, we were told that the documentation and filing taxes are a cumbersome process. In IT sector, for example, there is an issue of dual taxation wherein both CST and VAT is applicable on software companies. So, since we're talking about tax system, let's quickly look at what are the taxes manufacturing industry and service sector pays in India. So in manufacturing industry, for import of goods, there's custom duty applicable. For procurement of local inputs, you have excise duty, VAT, CST. For procurement of service, there's service tax. For domestic sale, you have excise duty, VAT, CST. And for export of goods, you have export duty. Similarly, for service industry, you have service tax on import of service, excise duty, VAT, CST. And procurement of service is also, service tax is levied on procurement of service as well. So talking about these, let's look at what are the ranges of tax which an entrepreneur pays. I'm sure you'll be thinking this is really not the exhaustive list. Of course, this is the exhaustive list of taxes an entrepreneur pays, which is about 23 listed down here. And like I mentioned, World Bank said that there are 16 indirect taxes which an entrepreneur pays. So additionally, the whole system of how many taxes and the whole timeline of when am I supposed to pay these taxes is a cumbersome process. Apart from these, there are three authorities which is levying taxes. One is the central government, one is the state government, and also the local self-government, which levies the tax on property, building tax and professional tax. Moving ahead, looking at how the counterparts in the world are doing, the World Bank indicator, which is paying taxes, which is another indicator on doing business ranking, this measured paying taxes as one of the indicators for a country to be performing well in terms of doing business. So they accounted for two aspects. One is what are the tax rates which are applicable in the country and how are these tax being paid. So India is ranked 135 of the 189 countries, whereas UAE is ranked first. One, obviously, because UAE has a total tax rate of 15.9%, whereas it's 60.6% in India. And the other is the total tax payments made to different authorities, which is 33 in India and just 4 in UAE. Another interesting fact is an entrepreneur in India spends about 243 hours in a year to file taxes, whereas in UAE it's just about 12 hours. Looking at how the states in India are doing in terms of complying and registering with tax policies, this is a screenshot from the DIPP State Assessment Report, which was published in 2015, which took into consideration basically online filing of taxes and registration of taxes as a parameter to rank the state. Karnataka has been ranked first in this matter. So I'm guessing someone from the panel or someone from the audience could comment on this later during the session. So Karnataka has a tax system where it looks something like this, where all the taxes which can be registered online and can be filed and paid online. Both Kerala and Tamil Nadu have been doing well in terms of bringing up registration of taxes online. But however, when we were interacting with entrepreneurs, they told that you need to go to commercial tax department to get certain documents verified, and there are a lot of other documents which needs to be produced when there are inspections happening. Moving ahead, these are the few issues which CPPR has listed down from the research study that we conducted for taxation, to understand how is taxation affecting ease of doing business. And I think the panel here and the audience here will be agreeing to most of these and would take it up later in the session. So I'll quickly run through it. One is again the multiplicity of taxes. We just saw the number of taxes an entrepreneur in India would pay. And in terms of bookkeeping, so with my interaction with a few entrepreneurs in both in Kerala and Karnataka, said that they would really want to streamline their accounting system once more money flows in. But since they have to produce records for over 6 years, this is something that has been causing issues. And the long-run litigation process, all of us agree that the Indian judiciary system hasn't really been keeping up with the taxation issues. And a report published by EY shows that every MNC in India has some form of tax litigation pending at some point of time in their operation in India. And another interesting fact which is said in the CAG report is that around 2.2 lakh crore is locked up in appeals at various levels, in most of the cases where state government is the appealant. Next is GST. We have Anish here who could give us more insight into what are the challenges and why is GST implementation is getting delayed. In terms of retrospective taxes, we know that recently in the budget presentation, we got a one-time solution for retrospective tax, where Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said that India was retrospective tax has been hampering doing business scenario in India, and we would move away from retrospective taxation. Again, in terms with GAR, it was told in the budget that India would go for GAR from 2017 April. MAT has been an issue for entrepreneurs since there is a tax applicable on the profits that they show in the book of accounts. So this leaves no scope for a startup or any established firm in India to show profits in their book of accounts. And taxing e-retailing, we have representatives from Karnataka and Kerala where these issues have been prevalent in recent times. Maybe they could give us more insight into this. And taxing venture capitalists, this is an interesting fact that we found out that there's dual taxation in venture capitalist funds, which is a major issue for VC funds to come into India. So a report was submitted to SEBI by Narayan Murthy recently in 2016 that venture capitalist funds should be allotted tax pass-through. Apart from this, there are few challenges which were observed from the research. One was complying costs. A lot of entrepreneurs agreed that the cost of complying with taxes is very high, both in all the 3 states. And the compounding tax rate in Kerala are high for jewelry. Maybe someone from the panel could throw light on that. Then yesterday we were discussing about how the documentation process in check posts are getting extremely delayed, and this is a time-consuming process. And then there is burden of local tax where there's entry tax, and this has been hampering the paper industry in Kerala since printing industry, since paper is imported from Tamil Nadu, and the low import duty specifically is impacting the rubber industry in Kerala. So, moving ahead with finance, another topic which is of utmost importance in doing business is obviously credit and finance. According to a report by IFC, a formal source of finance, which includes banks and non-banking institutions, accounts for about $139.4 billion. The credit is essentially required to start a business, but the challenge is credit availability during operation of the business. So in terms of the venture capitalist funding which we've been talking about, this has been a major help to startups in India, and according to a recent study conducted, startups in India received about $9 billion of funding in 2015. So when we're talking to entrepreneurs in various sectors for our study, we were told that credit accessibility and availability is more easy in an informal banking sector than the banking sector, the formal banking sector. The main reason they agreed to the fact that there is lesser documentation process which goes into availing loan to start and operate a business. So, like I compared India and UAE for paying taxes, I have compared New Zealand and India, which New Zealand has been doing really well in terms of giving credit to entrepreneurs. So the index measures strength of legal rights, which includes your bankruptcy code and the litigation process and insolvency process, where India is ranked 6 and New Zealand is ranked 12. And the depth of credit information index basically measures what is the information symmetry among the entrepreneurs to know what are the different schemes introduced by government and how is finance applicable, how is credit being availed by a lot of entrepreneurs. So in terms of that, New Zealand is ranked 8, but India is ranked somewhere close. India is ranked 7. But the overall ranking, New Zealand comes first and India is ranked 65. Next, I think funding MSMEs has been a major challenge, and we can discuss this in detail in the session ahead. So just quickly to mention, MSME has been on the priority sector for a lot of banks, but the funding has been less in terms of the working capital. So even though the government has initiated schemes like Mudra and Rajiv Gandhi Udyami Mitra, the scheme hasn't been able to reach all the sectors which MSME covers. And in terms of Mudra, I was told by a lot of entrepreneurs in Kerala and Karnataka that the banks have stopped giving loans under Mudra schemes, and that even though your application has been accepted, there's no response which is being given by banks. So in terms of credit to industries, this covers major industries that we looked into for our study. You have infrastructure, you have textiles, you have energy sector and drugs and pharma. So looking at it, we can see that the credit to industry has increased by 5.6% during 2014 and 15. However, there is roads and renewable energy which is taking the major share in the infrastructure sector. Moving on to VC, I think we've been talking about this for a while now, where agriculture, healthcare, banking and engineering and construction are the top 3 sectors for VC funding. But the regulatory barriers of how SEBI and RBI is controlling VC funding in India is a major challenge. And the dual taxation about VC that I mentioned earlier is another major challenge for VC funding in India. So in terms of what were the issues that we came across for finance and ease of doing business, here are the few, so I'll quickly run through it. One is in terms of less information about credit, there's high interest rate, and there's growing NPA concerns, there's delayed settlement and liquidation system, which I think we'll take it up when we're discussing about MSME funding in the sector. Now moving ahead with the last part of CPPR suggested reforms. So with the interactions we had with stakeholders from different sectors and across the 3 states, we were able to come up with 3 solutions for tax, which is in line with what Madhu discussed about a single window yesterday. So one is a single window platform for registering, filing, paying taxes. So the portal which was put up yesterday could offer a single platform wherein after you register your company, you can go ahead getting your utilities confirmed, and also you get provision to register for various state taxes. And also in terms of single ID for all taxes, even though there are a lot of states which have made filing taxes and paying taxes online, there are different IDs which are required to file these. So CPPR suggests that we need a single ID for all the taxes and entrepreneur pays. And in terms of better mechanism of inspection to reduce compliance cost is also on our cards. And in terms of finance, this is something all of us have been discussing, how we need a third party organization to assist a bank, say for that matter, if an entrepreneur is taking funds from a bank, the bank should be involved and also should be aware of where the fund is going, so that it is not only towards the end the banks comes into picture. And hopefully someone on the panel or from the audience can give us some insight into the bankruptcy code as well. And obviously we have been talking about how MSME or any other infrastructure sector for that matter, is not really does not really have access to working capital. So we suggest that working capital should be made more accessible, and if the funding for working capital to MSME and infrastructure, because these projects are for a long gestation period, we suggest that working capital should be made more accessible. So these were the suggested reforms based on the CPPR, the study which CPPR did. So the panel could comment or suggest more on the same. We would like to hear more on these issues. Thank you so much. Looking forward to the session.